Hi guys, this is Nadia Hilker. I'm playing Magna on The Walking Dead, and you guys are listening to The Walking Dead Talk Through. I hope you guys enjoy this podcast, and I'm sending you all my love. Bye!
Hello, my name is Cassie McClincy. I play Lydia on The Walking Dead, and you're listening to The Walking Dead Talk Through. Yeah!
Hey there guys, I'm Callan McAuliffe and you're listening to The Walking Dead Talk Through on Talk Through Media.
Hey, I'm Lindsley Register and I play Laura on The Walking Dead. You're listening to The Walking Dead Talk Through on Talk Through Media.
Hey, this is Ross Marquand and you're listening to The Walking Dead Talk Through. Awesome.
Hey survivors, welcome to episode 129 of The Walking Dead Talk Through. I'm Kyle.
I'm Brian. And I'm LT.
And we will be covering The Walking Dead Season 11, Episode 6, titled On the Inside. But first, we did get some feedback from for last week's episode, Season 11, Episode 5, Out of the Ashes, and it comes via voicemail from Renee. So let me play that now.
Hi guys, this is Renee from Atlanta. I'm calling in about the feedback from last week when I said that Michonne would have never walked away from her kids like that. And Brian, you said that, you read mine. First you read my feedback. And I said, I don't know Nan. Not Nan. I know it's incorrect English, but not Nan mother that will walk away from a child like that. And I realized that, Michonne, Danira, however you pronounce her name, she went on to be on Black Panther and, to do other things. I understand that. But in the storyline, it seems as if on The Walking Dead, she walked away from her kids. Now, Rick, they had him to die. They think that he died. Okay, that was okay. But her storyline is she just walked away from her kids. I don't like that because, again, I don't know Nan mother that would just walk away from their kids, especially the father just died, the brother died. No, I just did not like that. And I feel like they could have wrote that storyline much better, whereas she didn't just walk away. She called Judith and she just left. No, it's not a mother out there that would do anything like that. I didn't like that. And again, I know it's a story, and I know that Denai chose to leave, but still, I just didn't like the way they wrote that for her. I was not happy and I was not pleased with that at all. And it was something else I was calling in about, and I totally forgot. I have a brain freeze. So, all right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Hi, this is Renee from Atlanta calling back again. I know you guys are like, did that lady have a life? But no, seriously, I had a brain freeze and I thought about it. Okay, yes, that's what it was. Maggie and Negan, if they even think, if they even look, I wish they would. I would stop. And I'm the type of person, I'm a ride or die to the end. That's my personality. But I would stop watching I would stop watching The Walking Dead cold turkey. I wouldn't care about Rick movie or any of that. I wish The Walking Dead would act like they want to ship Negan and Maggie. Hell to the no. They better not. And then also with Princess and Mercer. Hell yeah, she was flirty. Yes, when they said who want to be employed to stop Mercer from going in there, she jumped up so quick and she was like, me, I will, I'll do it. Mm-hmm. It was a ploy, but she also was flirting. That was her opportunity to flirt because she already said with him looking fine in his uniform. So she already watching him. So she was definitely flirting. Definitely flirting. Okay, that's what I want to say. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye. This is it. Not call it back. Bye.
Thank you, Renee, for the feedback as always. So, I do not want them shipping Negan and Maggie.
When you said that, I was immediately going to, hell no, to the no, hell to the no. Anyway, I completely agree with you 100% on both things that you said, Renee. I think it is a weak storyline that they had her go off, to search for Rick. It just, the fact that she's off the show, that's one thing, but this story that she's gone off, and she's left. I mean, we want to have Judith there, but it would have been more believable if she had brought Judith and RJ with her, or something like that versus just going off on her own. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So on that, I agree. It's weak. And these shippers of Negan and Maggie need their head examined. Did you notice that there was someone that they got from, I think it was Twitter, someone that they took a message from during Talking Dead, and it was, I don't remember their exact Twitter name handle, but it was something like Negan and Maggie, like a shipping handle. And I was just like, no.
Yeah, I don't get it at all. And that's why I was like, I don't understand why they even brought it up unless they're trying to make it a thing, which it just seems stupid. It's like,
where do I begin to tell the story that is older than the sea? I'm sorry, guys. I see it.
Well, fine, but I don't want it.
What we want and what we get are never the same.
No, touche.
I'm just saying it's the elephant in the room. I mean, I hate to say it, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if they're going to do it, but it's definitely going to be something. I don't want to speculate yet, but I think I see something coming. And it's not necessarily the ship, but there's something coming. And I'll talk about it later.
Okay. All right.
As long as he doesn't have Maggie put on the mask.
Oh gosh.
Because we saw a scene. Because it looked like that might be her in a mask.
Does she have socks?
Well,
this is not even funny to talk about. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
I just find it. Yeah.
I think you are going to see her in a mask, but I think that there's some subtext there, and I have a theory about that.
Well,
I think that's how they're going to get into Meridian.
Well, okay, that might be.
They're going to use a page out of the Whisperer's playbook.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see. I'll just
and that's fine. If that's what works. I mean, one can assume that they don't know about the Whisperers. So,
And Jeffrey D. Morgan is a handsome man.
I don't care if he's a handsome man.
Right. It's just like, no.
He turned her husband's brain into jelly.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you need to know.
And Rick cut his throat, and they locked him in the basement for 6 years.
All right, enough. I don't want to. We'll talk about it when it actually, if it happens, because I'll just enough.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Renee. All right. Well, let's move on to this week's episode, season 11, episode 6, titled "On the Inside," written by Kevin Deiboldt. Who?
Let me say this part. I went to look to see, because this episode was so awesome. Hint, hint. What you're going to hear later. I wanted to see what he wrote. So, because I couldn't think of what he's written in the past. He wrote season 10, episode 6, Bonds. After reading that, I still don't really remember what that was. I know which episode it was in the scheme of things. I know that it was the one after the Negan groupie and before Sadiq dies. but I don't remember much about that episode itself. But that's where it sits. But I do remember season 10, episode 15, The Tower, which he co-wrote with Julia Ruckman, and that was the one that ended up becoming the pseudo season finale because they didn't finish episode 16. And then episode 17 of season 10, Home Sweet Home, and that is like the first full episode with Maggie back. And that's the one where the guy says, Pope marked you, and we see that happen. So.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, I mean, it definitely was add to this episode, which was pretty awesome. Who directed those episodes, I wonder? Because, I mean, were they all... Because that's kind of an interesting...
Various people. I know... the first one or the last one there, that was Laura Belsey.
Okay.
Directed it.
And The Tower was Nicotero.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's wrong. The Home Sweet Home episode, that was directed by David Boyd. And one of the other ones was Laura Belsey. It might have been, The Tower was Laura Belsey. And then Bonds was directed by Dan Liu, who is normally an editor on the show.
That's interesting, because then this one it was directed by Greg Nicotero, who always gets a lot of his episodes that he gets to direct, and sometimes the ones that he actually like writes or co-writes are really pretty amazing. But let's go. A description of this episode from AMC.com is Connie and Virgil hide in a house. Pope tests Daryl's loyalty. Kelly searches for Connie. All right, well, let's go into our ratings, and I'll start with mine. I gave this episode a 9.99 hungry, feral, cannibalistic cat colonies, and a 0.01 wish the Reaper's dance card was full because I'm over it. So I would almost give this a 10, only because, there was the other part that I was not really that big into. And I do have to say, though, that just to kind of add to what my rating and how I felt about this episode.
Gonna be pee pants city here real soon.
Oh yeah.
This episode was so good. So perfect. I almost kind of wish this was like the Halloween episode or something like that, but we're going into October. So I don't know. To me, it was like perfect time to get this, and it was just amazing. Well, what'd you give it, Brian?
I agree with you. I thought that this episode was one of the scariest horror film kind of scary episodes of The Walking Dead that we've had in a very, very long time. So I give it 9.75 rabid dog people.
Yeah, that's a good one. LT, what'd you give it?
Well, I gave this episode a 9 out of 10. Loincloths keep our show cable rated.
That's awesome. All right, well, let's go into our listener ratings. First comes from Dieta from Detroit, and she says, I rate this episode 10 out of 10. Creepy cannibal people in the walls. Worried face emoji, and I don't know, that's like shocked face emoji. No, this is that creepy, scary stuff I love.
Okay, Glennis from Toronto says 8 out of 10. Eyes through slits and slats.
And Renee from Atlanta says 10 out of 10 creepy crawlers with, I don't know what that is, bug-eyed emoji, bug-eyed emoji.
Like
bug-eyed emoji.
I think that's a shocked face.
Shocked face, yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you guys for your ratings, and let's go into our awesome sauce. All right. Dieta from Detroit says, yes, Connie is back. Finally. Love this scene. Connie walking through the creepy house, then seeing eyes looking back at her. Then the quietness so we could experience it through her perspective. Awesome. Could not agree more.
Yeah.
Yep. Glennis from Toronto says the tension created by seeing all this and not hearing anything at times So moving through the house with Connie from her perspective was really scary and terrifying.
It was. I agree with that, Glennis.
Yes, it was.
Yes. Renee from Atlanta says, don't play with Connie. Hug emoji, hug emoji. Her not being able to hear didn't stop her from being a boss. Baby, when she rubbed herself down with blood and guts from the walker, I was like, yes, she's going to open the door and let the walkers do the job. Hug emoji, hug emoji. Kelly on the horse going to look for her sister. That's what I'm talking about. By any means necessary, she was going to get her sister. Strong arm emoji, strong arm emoji, strong arm emoji. Daryl warning Maggie and them by shaking that rope or whatever it was, and also when he was standing on the rug and he knew they were listening, so he was able to give up some intel pertaining to the Reapers. Yeah, I thought that was particularly smart.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Yeah, I'm like, I can't agree more with everybody's feedback. It's just, this episode was just beyond what we needed for a very long time. All right. Well, thank you guys. Let's go into our awesome sauce. LT, you want to start?
Well, I was going to say, leave it to Nicotero to direct the actually really seriously, truly creepy episode.
Yeah.
Because if you look at his work in Creepshow and some of the other things he's done, the man knows how to direct horror movies.
Yes.
And
Agreed.
we love his work in the practical effects department. We love what he does with the Walker makeup. But the man can direct some horror movie. And the way they did the camera work, the fact that they intercut those silent scenes with, since Connie can't hear, so you got to be in her shoes, and the old classic of, eyeballs through the keyhole and all that sort of stuff. And especially that scene where she was in the wall and she's trying to warn Virgil and she can't scream and she can't, and she can't tell him. So she's just beating on the wall. And you had your classic, it's behind you moment.
Yeah.
So, just super big kudos to him for just the way he did, the cinematography and the pacing and all the stuff they did, because that was probably some of the best, camera work and the script work and just how everything fell together for those sequences. Just made the episode that much better.
Yeah.
Yep. Totally.
I agree. Yeah. I don't have anything to add to that, because basically that's the scenes with no sound were terrifying, and I had something to add to what you are about to say, so I'll just wait.
Yeah, it's just all of the Connie, Virgil, the feral people is what they called them, like on the Talking Dead. I mean, this was just above and beyond like a horror movie with all the heart beating, the thrills, the screams, and the terror. It's like, and I've never screamed out loud at an episode watching, a show in like such a long time that it was like, I was literally like just sitting in my seat, just like, oh my gosh, like this is just, I don't even know what to say. And it was like that scene that you were just mentioning, LT, where the, Virgil was, we see on his perspective, he's like hearing this banging, but he was running from all those people. But then on Connie's side, she's banging because she's like, hey, I can see you. But she can't really say and talk or do anything. And then you just get that little peek to where all of a sudden that like feral crawls behind Virgil. I was just like, I just the way it was done, the way it looked, just like how it all happened. And I was like screaming. I just remember my husband was like looking at me like, okay. And I'm just like, no.
That's the way you do a jump scare.
Yes.
Yep.
Totally.
Yep. And I jumped too. It was that it's like when he came out of that desk or
like, bed, or I don't know what it was. Yeah.
Whatever. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was terrifying, and just the way that those guys crawled around, and they would. I noticed like how they were like walking like dogs, but almost walking like insects.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're coming around the corner, and they actually like start to push off the side of the wall, and that it's just
yeah.
I have more to say about them, but
I do too.
Just in terms of just scary moments. I mean, this is a show that it's in its final season, and this may have been one of the most terrifying episodes of The Walking Dead yet.
Yeah.
And just so well done. I agree with you, LT, about the directions. Makes me want to watch Creep Show, because I haven't seen any of the episodes yet.
Right.
And of course I have access to it because I have AMC Plus now.
Mm-hmm.
But just so well done. And that one scene we're all talking about when Virgil, he's about to he's basically about to stab Connie, through the wall, and right then that's when Dog Boy shows up, and it's just so scary.
Yeah.
Just so scary.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then outside of the Reaper storyline, that's why I was just like, this episode was perfection. Like I agree, like so much, which is like it was one of the scariest. And just the fun of like how it was, shot with the whole like silence, treatment and all that kind of stuff. And also it was like Lauren Ridloff is amazing.
She is, yeah.
Just there was so much that you would just get from her face, and just the scene when she was going in the hallway, just how she was touching the walls, and then and then the sound was off. It's like they treated that so well, and then she acted it so well that it was like you were just totally sucked in.
And let's go here for a second. Because she doesn't speak, because she can't use her voice, she acts with her body and her facial expressions and her posture. And if you were going to mention it, I'm sorry if I jump in on it, but when she was talking about it on Talking Dead, and she was saying, no, if I was going down this hallway in my condition, I would do like this.
Right.
And she her physical acting also sold the terror so well.
Well, yeah.
And I think that, just to give her credit, I think that there's nothing else I think anyone else could have done, even if they would have had speaking parts, that could have sold it as much as she did. And it was just, like you said, it's an amazing job on her part.
Yeah, totally agree. I remember, I was going to bring that up later, but just in bringing it up now, because when they talked about it on Talking Dead, and it was that, she was sitting there reading the script and looking at it and be like, wait, no, in reality, I would never do that. I wouldn't walk down the hallway. I think it was about something like, oh, she was supposed to walk down the hallway and whatever. And she's like, no, I would not do that. And then she kind of added, more of this is what I would do. And feeling the walls and talking about how she could feel the vibrations from the actor that was one of the ferals that was jumping up behind her. And she was saying no, it's I could feel that. And the timing was right. And I just knew it. But she was like, I was frightened. So what you see on my face is that's real. I'm I was scared. So yeah, it makes me so, gosh, I wish we had more of these. And I'm hoping that then, this is a good thing, that, there's some more ideas and whatever to, with the story, but this just brought us back to old Walking Dead, just this is just the treatment. I don't know. I could go on forever. I'm just like, so we'll move on because I think we're all going to basically like in lots of agreements.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's go into our weak sauce.
You're worthless and weak.
And we didn't really have any from our listeners. And so, LT, I guess I see you have some. You want to start?
Well, I have to curmudgeon because curmudgeons will curmudge. The question I have, though, about our group of ferals. So explain to me how this bunch of Tarzan cosplayers have survived all this time in their big creepy house, hiding from people. Or were the bones we found in that one room, basically this was just creepy old house terminus?
Yeah.
That, poor travelers on the road would say, hey, like Virgil did, hey, there's a house, we can hide in the house. And that there's been a steady enough stream of hapless survivors that have wandered into the big old house, if they're cannibals, that they've had enough to snack on to keep the population going for 10 years.
Or for them not to turn on themselves, I guess.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying, is that it just, that after I got done being scared and, my rational brain kicked back in, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's essentially why it didn't get a perfect score for me, because I just was like, how? What?
Yeah.
Huh?
And I'm gonna talk about the house in the whats, but so Kelly's out in the woods looking for Connie, and she stumbles upon their camp. So she sees Virgil's very large, very fully packed backpack and puts it aside, and instead sees her sister Connie's nearly empty messenger bag and picks it up.
Yeah,
I know what you're gonna bring up.
This goes back to LT's rule of junk. If you find it, keep it. Sort it out later, because we don't know. Virgil might have had some, 3 or 4 cans of Beanie Weenies or, Denny Moore in there. It's still back to my favorite pet peeve. It's a
bring it home, sort it out later.
Take the stuff, loot and pillage first, worry about the other stuff later. Is that, take it with you at least.
Well, and then it also just goes to the point, though. It's like, aren't they all starving? Like, wouldn't you be like, I would be looking for food for myself as well? That I'm like, I'm out running around trying to find my sister, but I'm kind of hungry, and I would see a bag that's pretty big,
a very full backpack.
Yeah, like I wonder if there's some food in there.
See, that's kind of where my head was. And typically backpacks have good things in them, like knives and rope and baby guns and bullets and, so. And since we have not talked about the Reaper subplot on this episode very much, I just had one sort of nagging issue with that whole thing. If they don't trust Daryl, they sure are letting him run off and wander away by himself a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of a mind, okay, so you pass a test and you've joined our club, but you're a probationary member of the club.
Yeah.
So if I was in a patrol, like a patrol wedge with Daryl would be like number 2, number 3 in the stack. I would have lots of eyeballs on him all the time, and he would not be off by himself.
Yeah.
While I thought it was cool that, they played off the trap door, that he was able to, warn everybody so they could hide and gave them an opportunity to get away. I just kind of am going, well, maybe dickhead guy that doesn't like him has a point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I kind of thought at least that from towards the end of it, because I'm just not into this whole Reaper storyline or whatever. But the only thing I could get towards the end was like, I guess Leah is like the one that's kind of trying to protect him or something, because they seem to listen to her a lot, and she's always like, oh no, like, oh, he's fine, or like whatever, you know. It's like, so even though they really, you're right, it's like they kind of let him be doing stuff, and it's not really being shown that it's like why would they even let him do that? Why isn't he like in the back of the line and someone's watching him? Like, you know, it's like instead he's just kind of like,
exactly,
he's alone enough. Oh, you two go to this house, you two go to that house, and then Daryl's in the back. I'm like, ooh, I can go grab on the electric wire and like make a signal, you know, like do the signal.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like they gave him plenty of opportunity and time. Like, oh, we'll just give you enough time to be alone. So I don't know. Yeah.
And that, like I said, that was kind of my point.
Yeah, that to me, that, you know, they are giving him a level of not freedom, autonomy that, you know, maybe he doesn't completely deserve yet, or, you know, it's almost like Pope's just waiting for him to fail. And I have something I'm going to say about that.
They could be feeding him, you know, enough slack till he hangs himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just seeing how it plays out. But it just seems, like I said, just again, me being me, I'm just going, nah, don't see that. Especially if you're such a tight, you know, old, been together forever kind of crew, you just don't suddenly let the new guy, you know, cover your rear, because we still don't know the new guy.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just go into mine and the pact just from what you were saying, stuff like that. But it's just like, I kind of just over this Reaper storyline, and maybe I'm missing stuff, maybe because I'm not caring enough to really pay attention. But I literally was watching this episode just kind of like, I don't want to have to watch this. And after my second rewatch, I was like just skipping ahead to like watch the Connie stuff. But I thought it's like, they sure spend a lot of resources going after people. And I'm like, and do they know they are after Maggie? Like, do they know that they're after her and that's who they took Meridian for him? Because I never really got that they even knew who Daryl was with. They were just more of like, oh, who's your leader? And like, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know. That kind of confused me because, you know, it's like they spend... Because otherwise they're spending all this time just looking for people just to kill them and rob them. And like, that's their whole MO and that's all they're doing. And it's like, you know, they have this new base of operations that they took from Maggie. You know, it's like it's fortified. And like, then it's kind of like, wouldn't you just send out small little scout teams or whatever and just kind of defend your position? And then, you know, like just not send everybody out to go hunt some people that I don't know that if you even know who they are. I don't know. That's my whole thing where it's just like, I was literally going like, why are they spending all this time looking for like 3 people that I don't know. They've killed a bunch of people.
It seems a little inconsistent, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It seems a little that's you're basically stealing my whole wheat sauce here. 'Cause this is my big issue with the whole thing. I don't understand why they're so bound and determined to stop Maggie.
Yeah.
If they don't, and half the time they act like they don't know who she is, and half the time they do. And I don't understand what the point of it is. And it's like, they've got her base. Why do they have to hunt her down and kill her? And, you know, why? I don't understand. It just doesn't.
Right. It makes
their motivation here doesn't make sense to me. And I keep asking myself, why are they doing what they're doing? And I haven't been able to come up with a good answer.
Right.
Yep.
It's
that's the only thing I was thinking. It was like, because like I don't understand what's going on here unless this is just the Daryl Leah story, and that's what this is all about.
If you remember, and Kevin Deiboldt co-wrote this episode, the first episode with Maggie, Home Sweet Home, which you talked about. You know, the guy with the gunny sack, is that what it's called? I get the name?
Ghillie suit.
See, I knew I was going to get it wrong. The ghillie suit. He had the ghillie suit on. He said, Pope marked you. Why? Why did he mark Maggie if he doesn't even frickin' know who she is?
Who she is.
Right? That's what I don't get. I don't get it.
Good point.
Yep.
All right. Sorry it took like some of yours because I just like this was I just like why I gave my rating as it is because I'm just like I don't care about them anymore.
Yeah. Did I cut you off? Is there any more that you wanted to say?
No, not really. That was it. I was just basically just saying the same thing over and over again.
Well, the other thing I wanted to bring up in my weak sauce is you check the whole house. The whole house. Like seriously? Like how is it that a deaf person is able to find them and you are not? I'm sorry, what's his name again?
Virgil.
Virgil, how is it that they're able to escape you, but Connie finds them? I didn't get. And every time he just seems to not find them, doesn't hear them, and she's the deaf one, yet he doesn't hear them, like, and he doesn't hear the dog boy behind him either, that's what I had to ask is,
well, he checked the whole house just like Daryl checked the whole house.
Yeah,
he just scanned it and
yeah.
All righty. Well, let's go into our what sauce.
What?
All right, we got one from Renee from Atlanta. She said, "What the hell?" ? Those creepy crawlers looked really creepy. Bears crawling like that, and they were all crazy and dirty looking. Shock face. They looked worse than the whispers, and that's hard to do. Crying emoji. I guarantee you even Negan would have not touched that, and that says a lot because I don't think he's selective. Yeah. Shrug emoji. Oh.
Is that like the thing I sometimes say, anyone with a pulse? Yeah. The thing that I wondered about them is like, why are they crawling around?
Yeah.
Like, were they in some cramped space all this time?
They were locked in the armoire for too long.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be more just about how, like, just, they're not zombies and they're not, like regular people.
Well, they were scary as hell.
Yeah, but it's just like how far would it take for, I think, and they said this on the Talking Dead, where it's just like to kind of show like what would it take or what would it be like if like you actually in this world like were stripped of your humanity, like, and then you lost it, and then like what would you do? So I mean, to me, it's creative license of like, well, what would happen if you were raised by wolves? That's the whole like deal. Where it's like, would you act like a wolf, or you're like, you're still human and you still have your mind and brain power?
Would you be hungry like a wolf?
Yeah.
Only if you have girls on film.
Anyways, I think that's what they were going for.
This is like Lord of the Flies Part 2. How far did we devolve here?
Pretty far, it seems.
Pretty far. Okay, so shall I take off with my poor what there?
Please do.
That house had some mighty big crawl spaces.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It did.
And it had a lot of, passages and places to hide and things of that nature.
Yeah, it reminded me of the Winchester Mystery House.
I was going to go more for the Walking Dead version of the H.H. Holmes Motel at the Chicago World's Fair.
Okay. I don't.
And
know
I can
that
tell
one.
you're giving me the look. It was one of the World's Fairs. It was the world's first documented serial killer.
Ooh.
He was, I think he had a couple other names, but it was like H.H. Holmes. And he had this hotel in near, and I want to say it was the Columbian Exposition, but it was like in the 1880s. And, the hotel had like secret rooms and trap doors, and he would like kill people and drop them in the basement. And it was like, they've done a couple specials on him, and maybe American Horror Story. Somebody did a movie about him, but he was like super, super creepy because, it was like early Jeffrey Dahmer. He was cannibalism. He was killing people and cutting people up, and had the whole, hiding corpses in the basement. And it just kind of made me think, well, were these people doing this before the apocalypse? Because it just seems like there was a lot of purpose-built, creeping and peeping passages and different things in that house for it to be a normal housey house.
Yes. I basically wondered the same thing. I would like to see more of a backstory of this house. Like I would love to see this in a webisode or something.
Oh yeah, this is prime fodder for that.
Yeah, that series that they're planning to do, that anthology, a follow-up story to these people would be perfect for that. A one-shot, or two-shot story about how they devolve into that. That would be really interesting.
Yes, it would.
Not that this is like a bad hot sauce or whatever, but I agree with Renee. It was like, this was just nice to see something other than walkers and like bad people as threats. And I know we were kind of talking about like, oh, who are these people? Like, why are they acting that way? Blah, blah, blah. But it was just like, I don't know, it's just something new that we haven't seen before. So it was kind of like, okay, I'll totally, take that and just, with the whole, how they treat the whole episode. But it was interesting that they, in Talking Dead, they were talking about like they hired like Cirque du Soleil, like, people that to be the actors or the, be these feral people, which I mean, makes sense of like, they're going to definitely know how to like crawl around like that and stuff like that.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I could see that. And they're still out of work.
Yeah. Also then, then they got a part on this show. But I mean, it also was just like, they talked about how like they spent a lot of time to make sure that they didn't make them look like, zombies or whatever. Like they treated their prosthetics, like how they like, painted them, like to keep them still human, but definitely something like, we're not used to or something we haven't really seen before. So I don't know. I just, it's a what, but it's like only like awesome. What?
It's a good what.
Yes, it's a good what.
Yeah, I heard them say on Talking Dead that they, made their eyebrows have no hair and made them a little more, made them a little more bumpy, almost like, kind of Neanderthal type. I don't think they specifically said that, but that's what I was thinking when they said it. I wondered specifically, like I said earlier, that this would be a perfect kind of thing for the, the anthology series. But one thing as part of that is also, what kind of place is this? I mean, what's with all the like crawl spaces and the, put your razor blades in here and stuff like that. Like made me think it was almost like a sanitarium or something like that, but it also wasn't. It was a home, but so it was kind of a weird place. It just made me wonder. But the other two things that I have to do with the whole Pope's thing, and I'm trying to figure out Pope's motivation which we talked a little bit about already, but I'm trying to figure out like what his deal is trying to go after our group. It's like you got what you wanted. Defend it is one thing, but going out there and attacking people, that's another, So I don't really understand what his motivations are. And specifically, did he get something out of Frost?
Yeah.
Or did he just let make them paranoid? Well, specifically Daryl paranoid that he may have gotten something out of Frost. Because he was acting like, well, I got out of him what I wanted. It's like, okay.
Yeah, that's
so.
Yeah, to what end? It's all like, okay, I get where it's like, oh, here's a little mini cliffhanger of like, oh no, but then it's like, okay, well then is Pope just doing this because he doesn't trust Daryl? But then so this is like some game, and so what is his motivation? Yeah, it's all like, I don't know. It's just that's why I'm like, I just don't really care. Like I just ready to move on because they're not. I don't see these people continuing any further than however many couple more, whatever episodes until we get into the Commonwealth and like more comics book based stories. So
yeah,
maybe he gave up some more information about Maggie, but we don't know.
True. Well,
maybe.
Right. Well, and my question though too is like, we do have this whole Carol and Daryl story, their whole spinoff. So how is that going to play? Like, is that a final ending, when this is all said and done and we're at the laying?
So you're thinking that, well, see, that was always one thing that I wondered is, is Leah, going to be a part of that show? And if she is, is she going to be like another cast member? And if she is, this group does make some sense, that she would be part of it, but
I don't know.
Right. But that's what we don't know.
Yeah. But at this point, there's not a lot of explanation as to why they need to be there. But if she's a part of it, then it stands to reason. And it looks like based on when she's coming up in the cast, I noticed, like, for example, last week, she was on the list of cast, but she wasn't in last week's episode. So that tells me that she's part of the main cast or like the secondary cast, the also starrings.
Mm-hmm. I guess we will know whenever they finally want to let us know. I just know that I just keep thinking that like, oh, some of the choices and things that we might be like thinking about, like, oh, this makes no sense or whatever. It's like, oh, that's right. Daryl and Carol have to kind of somehow exit this and go to their own show.
Yep.
So,
well, and we don't know at this point who comes with them.
Right. Well, right. We don't know anything about what that's even going to look like or be.
One of the people that was thinking she's got to be on there, is Lydia. I was thinking she's got to be in this, but now I don't know anymore. Maybe she is, maybe she isn't.
Yeah.
Maybe Maggie's in that cast,
I had a completely different expectation of it. I just expected it to be, Carol and Daryl on a motorcycle.
Yeah, that's. That's what I thought too. That it was
ride with Daryl Dixon.
Yes.
Yeah. Basically like, Bronson rides again with Carol. It's just the two of them. I just thought it'd be the two of them.
Yeah.
So
that's what I kind of thought too. But we just don't know.
Again, we don't know.
Maybe.
We don't know.
Yep. All right. Well,
because they didn't say it was going to be the Carol and Daryl and Maggie show.
No, it's just the Carol and Daryl spinoff.
And I still think that you've got to have angst for Daryl. So I don't see it being a Three's Company with Daryl, Carol, and Leah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't quite see that either, but
Yeah. Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah. Guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Yep.
All right. Well, if that's all that we have for our what sauce, let's go into our sad and awe sauce. Aww. All right. First sad and awe sauce comes from Dieta from Detroit. Well, look, like all of Maggie's people are gone. Frost was hanging on, but Pope had other plans. Still can't believe Daryl actually cut his fingers off. Shock face, shock face.
Yeah, that was pretty shocking. So I think the only one that's left now is Elijah.
Yep.
And we saw Elijah in this episode. So
Yep, still alive and kicking. Well, he's the one that had the whole mask and like looked like the Michonne 2.0. So
double agent.
Yeah, he's going to stick around. She continues on. She says, sauce, the Connie and Kelly reunion finally. Tear face. And then love face, or like love in the eyes emojis.
Yeah, in fact, on Talking Dead, they said that they arranged it so that the first time they got to see each other on stage or whatever was the first time they saw each other was the first time that we see in the scene. So, and they hadn't really seen each other for months and months and months, except for like over, Zoom or whatever. And so this was the first time, and those emotions that they had were real. I thought that was really cool. That was a brilliant idea that Lauren Midloff had.
Yeah.
That was her own idea.
And it worked quite well.
Yes.
It definitely worked.
Very well. Made me cry. All right. You want to take out Renee? LT?
Yeah. Renee from Atlanta says the reunion between Connie and Kelly. That was so sad when Kelly said, "I'm sorry." And she's got some crying emojis. I really felt bad for Virgil when he was saying how he lost himself until Michonne came along and showed him something different. Virgil was willing to give up his life to save Connie because he felt like he didn't deserve to live after everything he had done. Unlike Negan, who seems to have no remorse when it comes to his past mistakes, which is the main reason I can't forgive him. Negan only cares about Negan. And she's got, it's like cussing faces and cussing faces and cussing faces. And she also has scared sauce. Man, watching it through Connie's eyes with no sound was super terrifying, and the music sound was something straight from Halloween or Friday the 13th movies, also when they were saying, "I'm hungry."
Hungry.
I'm scared for Daryl because the Pope was snickering and whispering like a little kid, like he had a secret or something. She's got some chin scratching emojis there. Okay, back to the creepy crawlers. When two of them came to bear crawling out the door, I was like, Virgil is a goner, but our peeps showed up in the nick of time. Yay, claps.
Can't complain or can't disagree. All right, you want to continue, LT, with yours?
Yes, I do. My sad sauce was Frost in the torture chair. So last week, everybody was going all crazy about Daryl getting waterboarded. So where's the justice for poor old Frost getting beat to a fare thee well and getting his fingers cut off?
It's because no one cares about Frost. They don't know who Frost is.
I'm trying to be emotionally consistent here, Mr. Malash, sir.
I am not saying that Frost, should be forgotten, but people don't know Frost, so they're going to forget about him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the other thing is let's just take a for instance. Now we were kind of worried that Frost is going to give Daryl up, but given the interactions between when Maggie came back and they actually met Daryl, he may not like Daryl. He may thought Daryl was a collaborator all along anyway. So I don't know if he's going to give him up or what. But yeah, I just, that was just particularly painful for me. Just, seeing him getting beat. And then, like I said, the fingers, that goes back to our old Discovery eye trauma thing. Finger loppings kind of bother me. So,
yeah.
And if you don't get that, listeners, in season 2 of Discovery, they kept on doing these things that had eye torture.
And season 1 with Captain Lorca, and season 1 of Picard.
Yes.
Just they have a thing about eye needles.
Eye needles.
Yep.
So enough about that. Sir.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't really have too much more than everybody else. It was just like, I agree that the Connie and Kelly reunion was just perfect because it was just like, like I cried, Connie cried, Kelly cried, we all cried. Like it was the perfect way, like kind of like the ending of this totally intense like episode. And also it's just like, oh, finally, it's like, it's almost kind of like we've had so much, as the show does, there's been so much trauma, so much like hardship, so much just like everything that's been going on, and week after week, to like have this moment where it's like, yeah, it was terrifying, but at the end, the music swelling, like Kelly comes out there and shoots that one feral person with like the slingshot, it's like, I don't know, it's just like everything just fit right into place, and it's like, and you actually left the episode feeling so good, and just like, I don't know, like perfect. I don't know, can't say enough of how this episode was literally like the best episode of The Walking Dead in like, I don't even know when.
Years. Yeah. Yep. Well, I just had to note the fact of we had signs of yet another dead horse.
Yep.
Now I don't know if that was Virgil's horse or if that was just another horse. I don't know. I don't remember if Virgil was on a horse.
Yes, he was.
I think he was. Yes.
So, unfortunately, Virgil, your horse, has reached the same demise as everyone else's horse, it seems, except for Kelly's horse.
It's true. They are definitely getting their mileage out of those horse prosthetics this season.
Yep.
I think they're going to offend the horse lobby. And to that, so that's the sad sauce, but the awe sauce I just already mentioned. I guess it didn't kill all the horses because Kelly's has one, and that was one of the horses from last week because I recognized how it was like multicolored, had like brown and white spots all over it, reminding me of one of our cats who wasn't brown and white, but black and white and had all these kind of spots. Lover Boy, who's no longer with us, unfortunately. He died 2 years ago.
And we know they have at least one other horse because that was what was pulling the wagon when they left Hilltop. So we know they have at least two.
So I guess they didn't kill all of them. They killed that. So maybe when Rosita was talking about how they killed the horses, maybe she was specifically just talking about the horse parts or something. So she was using kind of horses in the wrong way.
Well, I thought she said when they finished all the horse.
I was pretty sure she said horses.
Well,
anyways,
well,
either way,
wild horses couldn't drag me away from that opinion. I don't remember who sings that song.
It's a Rolling Stones.
Cher? Oh, Wild Horses?
Oh, that is one. Yes, there is a song.
That's the first one I thought of.
That's not the one I was thinking of, though.
Sorry, I will default to Mick Jagger before anybody else.
Oh, yeah. I'm
right.
like, I don't know either. I'm just like, I just know didn't Susan Boyle sing Wild Horses in her episode of like the America's Got Talent?
No.
But I remember it was Wild Horses, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Anyways, enough of that. Different show. Let's move on. Oh, goodness. All right. Well, let's then that.
Okay. The song I was thinking of is called Wild Horses from Gino Vanelli. Now, you probably never heard of that because it's Canadian.
Gino Vanelli was like disco pre-'80s, wasn't he? Early 80s?
Early 80s.
I know he did something. There's some other song he did that anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, that was a song I was thinking of, but yeah, I know the Rolling Stones song you're thinking.
Okay.
Okay, I think it's time to play the tangent.
Yes.
Where's Blaine?
What is this bizarre segue that's happening right now? Can we maybe stay on point?
All right. Well, then let's get. That leads us into our feedback.
We can talk about it. Done talking. Time to listen.
All right, we do have feedback from Renee in a voicemail. I'm not entirely sure if she actually says some of the same stuff in what she posted. So we will just go with the voicemail and then read what she says, and we'll just go from there. All right, here's Renee.
Hi guys, this is Renee from Atlanta. I said I'm going to call in tonight because this episode was so freaking good. OMG. I mean, this episode was so good. Oh my gosh. This was old school, tense, suspenseful, scared to death. Like, where those people come from. Like, they're living in the house. They're cannibals. This episode is so good. I can't even concentrate on Negan and Carol and Daryl and all of them, because just the house alone with Virgil and Connie was just so intense. Man, I cannot wait till we do our feedback. I cannot wait. This episode was so freaking good. All right, bye.
Well, we'll give her another Showcase Showdown. That was actually, she sent that in pretty much right after she had watched the episode, after it aired. So that was kind of her reaction to that. But she definitely has some feedback that she gave in the Facebook group, so I'll go ahead with that. And she says, one of the best episodes ever. I felt like the old Walking Dead. I wish they would hurry up and end the Reaper War, which I'm thinking maybe the Reapers may have something to do with the military folks in the world beyond. I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense. I mean, what other reason could they possibly have to keep this mess going on so long? Eye roll, eye roll. I hope the rest of the episodes are just as good. The Commonwealth storyline is going to have to get better because I'm not feeling that storyline either. I just want them to hurry up because I really miss Rick. Sunday night's episode was the first time I didn't really think about what would Rick and Michonne do. You guys keep up the great work. Stay masked up. I hear we're beginning to plateau, but I will believe it when I see it. I'm hoping I will be able to attend Fandemic in March. They canceled the one for this month, but I wasn't going anyways because people don't want to wear their masks, nor do they want the vaccine. Tear face, tear face. Until next week, keep rocking. And heart emoji, heart emoji, heart emoji. I want the Reaper, thing to kind of be over. I don't think they have anything to do with the military folks from the world beyond. I think this is just like a, they're their own little group, and they're going to serve some purpose in the storyline, as we talked about, where it's like maybe this is the Carol, Daryl, Leah, spinoff, or is this just filler, or or is this just, I don't know. So, I mean, I'm ready for the Commonwealth because I think I have not read the comics all the way through this point, but I've heard enough and whatever. But I just feel like this storyline fits more into what, we've already kind of been through. And, it's another bigger, actually the biggest, civilization that our people have ever met,
right,
outside of doing their stuff. So there's a
lot.
Yeah. So there's a whole story and things that they can do that to me is exciting because it's kind of like one of those things where you get to that end of the end of the zombie apocalypse, and it usually just they're either people are surviving or it's just there's the end of the movie. And then the credits roll, and you just kind of left there being maybe they, they ran into some kind of hope or whatever to move forward, and there's a better world ahead. I feel like that's what the Commonwealth to me it feels like. It's we're getting to that point to where it's we could see what the end game is of the ZA. Like, what happens when civilization has a chance to like actually really come back, just like we're dealing with our own like deal with the pandemic. That it's just like, what does normal look like that we used to have? And to, you know, I know that it kind of, there's a lot, some parts of it crash and burn, but you know, this is the end of this whole Walking Dead universe that we've lived in. So I'm kind of looking forward to like, let's, you know, see what this has to offer. We're going to get some kind of finality and like, what's the survival, you know, like what is life after The Walking Dead?
Because we want something better than everybody standing there looking off into the horizon with shocked faces when the credits roll.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Deanna from Detroit says, OMG, I really love the scary movie vibes this episode was giving. From the Night of the Walking Dead running in the house scene to the Ferals living in the walls, the people under the stairs. It was so many callbacks to the classic horror film genre. And Renee added a note, definitely gave people under the stairs vibe. I used to love that movie. Daryl dropping clues about the Reapers for our group to hopefully get the advantage over them. So was this a plan devised by Maggie and Daryl to infiltrate the Reapers, and Frost was collateral damage? I don't think Frost told Pope anything otherwise. Why would he kill him? Chin scratch. Pope was bluffing, trying to make Daryl react. That's just my thinking. Overall, I really enjoyed this episode. Smiley faces. It had all the feels of a good scary movie vibe. And she has scared faces and shocked faces.
And as far as our feedback is concerned, our last bit of feedback is from Glynis from Toronto. She says, wild feral eyes looking from the inside out at Connie, and Connie in turn looking from the outside in. And then with the roles reversed, when Connie was inside the wall looking out at Virgil, and Virgil advancing menacingly to strike with the knife. Then Elijah, Maggie, and Negan looking up through the floorboards at Daryl, Leah, and Carver and company. I could just see and hear the thoughts they were each thinking, and their feelings were mirrored in their eye expressions. It was all in the eyes, the pathway to their souls. Then the eyeing stares going on between Pope, Carver, Daryl, and Leah, with Daryl trying to mask his expression and not allow Pope to see the inside of who Daryl really is and his true alliances. Then the beautiful reunion between Connie and Kelly, where they didn't have anything to hide and could let their innermost feeling out and not hide them or keep them on the inside. Daryl better watch his back, as I think Pope is on to him from whatever Frost blurted out while being tortured, which must have been really bad, as he didn't break down even when Daryl cut his finger off, as Pope seemed to whisper conspiratorially to Carver, with Daryl and Leah looking on. Pope seems to be distancing Leah now from his close-knit lieutenants, so to speak. Another horse bites the dust, as it looks as if Virgil and Connie, when on the road, had to cull the horse in order to be able to eat, or did the Ferals attack the horse then? Actually, I think the walkers.
I think the walkers got it.
Yeah,
that was my.
They were on the run in the very beginning, so if that was where they were originally, yeah, they somehow got attacked and like took off. Because that's the one thing I have to say though, that like, and even Virgil says it, and I didn't catch it, but on the second watch, like they were driven to that house, and so the Ferals, like there was when they were at the beginning where Connie and and Virgil were like saying which way to go, and Connie was like, "We've got to run," and she was wanting to go like one direction, but then Virgil saw the mailbox and seeing like, "Oh, there must be a house over here. We should go that way." But then there was like a quick scene where it's like there was walkers coming, but then the grass was all rustling and like you couldn't see anything. So it was like something low on the ground that was like just in the brush, basically, and that made them like run off. But then later, when Virgil and Connie are talking, when he was saying, "Hey, Michelle, like you need to go," and she was like, "No, we're doing this together." Like Virgil even says, like, "No, they drove us to here. That it's like they've been, like we were basically they trapped us and blah blah blah."
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah, so it's like that's kind of like then that was the whole MO that these things or subhumans or whatever you want to call them, like this is like their little trap, and they must have been doing this obviously with that whole basement full of bones. That this is just what they were doing. But yeah, the horse in their camp, they ran away from that, probably from walkers, and then got sucked in by the feral cat colony.
Feral cat colony. That's one thing you could call it.
Yeah. And I didn't really have more to say other than they did on Talking Dead show the sneak peek of World Beyond and then the sneak peek of the next Walking Dead, and because that World Beyond is next week.
Yes, we will be covering 2 episodes next week.
Which is weird because we were covering World Beyond when we were covering Fear, and now they're covering Walking Dead and World Beyond, and then Fear will come in 2 weeks later. So it's like this weird, we'll have our little subgroup of okay, and now we'll talk about the World Beyond.
Once again,
yes,
I volunteer to take the bullet for the team if nobody else wants to.
All right, we'll hold you to you. I mean, I'm gonna watch it, and I'm hoping that this is the season 2 last season that they've kind of developed a story and kind of have some fun stuff.
All I can say is this will be the year, this will be the season. Jadis will be on there.
Yes,
Jadis,
and she won't be wearing a plastic trash bag.
Yeah,
well, she'll be wearing something though.
We get to see whatever hippie trash ladies wear when they go to town.
Well, she's got some kind of buzz cut going.
Yeah, like a little ponytail thingy too, isn't it? I don't know, but she just pops up at the end. But the sneak peek, and I'm as with everything Walking Dead, this and that. I'm I'm always hopeful that there's okay, this is going to be good, or they're going to do something, and I want to be surprised. I'm just there with Renee. I'm I'm not going to just quit the show. I'm here for the end. So I kind of just the sneak peek was a little meh, but I'm still hopeful. And then the sneak peek next week for The Walking Dead basically just looks like the 2 fathers, the 2 priests warring with each other, because it was just basically Father Gabriel and then whoever the raper's father figure is, and they're kind of having this weird stare off, or Father Gabriel's hiding in the trees and
giving him the evil eye.
So we'll see. There's going to be a little fight between those 2. And that's really all I had. So unless you guys had anything else to add?
Nope.
All right. Well, then let's go into news, ratings, and info.
There's a couple weird stories on the news.
Well, unfortunately, ratings are down. Walking Dead got an all-time low, 0.43 in the 18 to 49, with 1.782 million viewers. Both represent the all-time low for the show. In the 25 to 54, it got a 0.63, down from 0.71. I guess I should have said last week it was 0.51 in the 18 to 49 with 1.914 million. So went down a fair bit, I guess. So last week it was 0.71 in the 25 to 54. This week, 0.63. The decline in 50 and over wasn't so much. It got a 1.00 versus last week's 1.01. So, strangely enough, Talking Dead was slightly improved from last week. It got the same rating of 0.14 in the 18 to 49, but it got 700,000 viewers versus last week's last week's 657,000 viewers. So the rating was the same, but it went up 43,000 versus last week. The good old Parrot Analytics, it maintained its position at number 4, but went down slightly in the multiplier. It got 48.0 times the average demand of a show versus last week's 49.3. Remaining at number 1 and number 2 are SpongeBob and Saturday Night Live, respectively. So SpongeBob, I still don't get it. I'm going to say that every single week. It got a 77.1, slightly down from 78.6 times last week. Saturday Night Live was at a 53.6, slightly up from last week's 53.2.
Yeah.
So...
yeah, the whole SpongeBob SquarePants is, I just only have to say, it's a...
There's a conspiracy out there. You hear what I'm saying? There's a conspiracy. A C-O-N.
There's something behind SpongeBob that is just not right in this world to be at number 1 all the time.
It doesn't make sense to me. And I would like to solve that mystery, but I don't think I ever will.
Yep.
That's it for this week.
All righty. All right, LT, you want to take and let everybody know how to interact with us?
I do. And we want to encourage you to follow us on Twitter and Instagram. That's at Walking Dead TTM. To submit your theories and feedback, most people post in our designated episode thread in our Facebook group. That's facebook.com/groups/WalkingDeadTTM. You can email us. That's walkingdead@talkthroughmedia.com. You can use our feedback forum, which is talkthroughmedia.com/feedback. If you'd like to leave us a voicemail, you can call area code 216-232-6146. Remember that all of our new episodes are on YouTube. Just search for Talk Through Media and remember to subscribe and click that bell to get notified when we have new videos. Those videos go out first before the podcast goes out to your podcast client of choice.
All right, to support us, like and review the Talk Through Media Facebook page. You can find that at facebook.com/talkthroughmedia. The best way you can support us is in our Patreon, and you can find that at patreon.com/walkingdeadtalkthrough. We definitely would like to thank our Patreon supporters, Clint McCollum, Renee Murray, Lawrence Todd over there, Kyle McAdams, me. I got to come up with some, rewrite this, but but we do want to thank our newest Patreon supporter from last week, Dieta Patterson.
Yay!
Also remember that Dieta, Clint, and Renee will be getting the early version of this episode as we send those out basically pretty much like the next morning after we record. Subscribe to us in our Apple Podcasts or your podcast client of choice, and while you're there, give us a rating or review, which we haven't really had one in a long time. I haven't looked again to see if we got anything, but
no, we haven't.
Get out there and give us a review if you would. You can also leave us a review at podchaser.com, and at that website, you can rate individual episodes or the whole podcast. Also, remember to share our posts on Facebook and Twitter when we post them, and tell a friend. Word of mouth is the best way to get us new listeners. All right, Brian, where else can we be listened to?
Well, there's this little podcast we're doing right now called the Star Trek Lower Decks podcast, and that's with Kyle and usually LT. Most of the time, it's all three of us or two of us. It's always two of us anyway.
Yeah.
And we have had out 7 episodes for season 2 so far, and we will soon be coming out with episode 8. And you can get those by going to talkthroughmedia.com and find us there. There's also a part of the Star Trek podcast. It has a Patreon group that's at patreon.com/Brian and Ruthie. And we've been doing something similar there releasing the episodes as soon as they come out. So, well, I shouldn't say that. They come out earlier. In the case of this week, if you were a member of that Patreon, you're getting the episode way earlier because I haven't been able to get the episode finished yet. So yes, there are benefits. Just $1 a month for either Patreon gets you the episodes way faster. All right, so our next episode will be covering 2 episodes of the Walking Dead universe. The Walking Dead Season 11, Episode 7, titled Promises Broken, written by co-executive producer Julia Ruckman and directed by Sharat Raju. The description from AMCplus.com is as follows. Maggie learns a survival tactic from Negan. Interesting. Eugene's group clears walkers. Daryl hunts with Leah. And then we'll also be covering The Walking Dead World Beyond, Season 2, Episode 1. And I'm not sure how to pronounce this word, but I'll do my best. Consakins, written by the co-showrunner Matthew Negretti, directed by Lauren Iaconelli, and the description from AMCplus.com is Hope's commitment to the future is tested. Iris and Felix meet a new group. So that's it for this week's episode. So until next time, I'm Brian.
And I'm Kyle.
And I'm LT.
And this is the Walking Dead Talk Through. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.